Hello and welcome back to Parc Fermé Parlay with Kieran Downey. We are here to discuss everything that happened in the Mexico City qualifying session. It was a bit mental, to be honest. I was on edge for most of it. The results, I knew it was going to be a bit mental. I knew it. I knew we were going to have some big names in some places that you wouldn't expect them. And I correctly predicted a Perez Q1 exit. So I'm just saying, if my predictions are on point this weekend, Charles Leclerc's winning the Grand Prix. Let's crack on with everything that happened in qualifying. And out in Q1 was Zhou Guanyu, Esteban Ocon, Sergio Perez, Oscar Piastri and Franco Colapinto. This was definitely a qualifying session that was last drivers over the line will be your sort of quickest, because the track, the evolution of the track was so major for each session that those times just kept tumbling down. And for some of the drivers, to be fair, for some of the drivers that wasn't actually quite true. I'm talking Perez, I'm talking Piastri. A lot of the drivers really struggled out there for grip. We had a couple of drivers running off. The biggest sufferers of a lack of grip were Sergio Perez and Max Verstappen. I don't know what's happened with the car, but this is probably the most uncomfortable I think I've seen both of those drivers in this car. They just can't seem to get a hold on it. Max has had some engine problems. They've both had brake issues. They've both reporting a lack of grip. And Perez just wasn't quick enough. Perez being knocked out P18 at his home Grand Prix. Oh, I really wanted him to prove me wrong and prove us all wrong and get into Q3 and finish in points. And, you know, I would have been so happy with a top 6 finish for him, but I didn't see it. And here he is, P18. He just wasn't quick enough. He just didn't have the pace. So he did his first flying lap, and at that point it was clear he's not going to be quick enough. He only went 7th fastest, and as everyone else went out on their first flying laps, he tumbled right the way down to the bottom of the order. He went out again for his second run, and again just wasn't quick. Just didn't have any pace, and then just... And now, listen, as shocked as I am about it all, I do actually feel quite sorry for the guy, because when you watch him go round, whenever you catch him driving round spectators, specifically turns sort of 6 and 7, that sort of 5, 6 and 7, and round at the stadium, you can just hear them screaming and cheering for him. And that's obviously an immense pressure to perform and to do something amazing. We've seen it happen last year. He qualified quite all right last year, but the pressure of trying to get a win meant he completely screwed himself over and was out in turn 1. And obviously the car's significantly worse this year, and he just didn't have pace. He just didn't have it in him. And I said something there's now a rumour going around that Franco Colapinto has been offered a seat at VCARB for next year, and a lot of it obviously depends. He's a Williams driver. Does Williams want to give him up? Williams seem quite keen to get him on the grid, but you know, should anything happen, should in 2026, going into 2026, a seat become available at a top team and Carlos Sainz is gone, would they be able to bring him back? I don't know. Red Bull like to own the contracts of their drivers. They like to be the one in control. They don't like to loan or be loaned out from another team. So there is that rumour. The second part of that rumour is that Liam Lawson would then go to Red Bull and take over from Perez. Now, I posted about this into our sort of F1 group chat, and one of the guys was like, oh, I feel like this rumour's come around again, but they're like, I feel like we're just talking about it without merit again. And I'm like, no, I think there is merit here. He's not performing at all, and there must be something in his contract that has a bye-bye Perez clause. For whatever reason, for performance reason, for a loss of the championship standings, whatever it is, there must be something, because they're not getting that Constructors' Championship back. And there is every possibility that Max could win the Drivers' Championship and Red Bull could finish the Constructors in third. And you've got to wonder, with performances like this, what are they bothering with Perez for? Like, what are they bothering? It makes me feel bad saying that, especially when you're watching this weekend and you see his dad who's so happy and his kids, and you're like, oh, terrible. But I'd be like, go and let's just get out of this contract, please, and just get somebody else, because this is killing Red Bull. So yeah, Perez punted P18. We say this every week. This was like a week that he was, this could have been a week for him to bounce back, and it's just nothing, and it's just so heightened because it is his home race. Quickly, just Zhou Guanyu and Esteban Ocon. Not surprised by Zhou Guanyu, let's be honest with you. Ocon, a little bit surprised considering where his teammate ended up. Colapinto, again, quite surprised Colapinto was out. Again, because where Albon ended up. And just, it's not really what we've been seeing from Colapinto. But I also imagine he will be able to maybe fight through the field a little bit. He's not afraid to get his elbows out and get some overtaking done. So, be interesting to see where he ends up today actually. And then the big shocker, I'm shocked that Perez is out, but I'm also not really that surprised. The big shocker, Oscar Piastri. Oh my God. Went out, first lap time, not that great. He only went 13th fastest, I think it was. Had his lap time deleted for track limits. Then went out again and just didn't have the pace in him either. Which was wild because all this weekend we've been talking about how fast McLaren have looked. Like, I genuinely thought at one point we could maybe be getting a Piastri and Norris 1-2, McLaren 1-2. I think he was quickest in FP3 as well. But then you can't really compare it. It's different times of day and there could be setup changes between FP3 and then. I get it, but I'm just a bit shocked by it all. I'm actually shocked at Piastri being out. It'll be interesting to see what he can do today. Can he get through the field? My God, Mexico just throwing blinders. So yeah, Q1 was tense. It was tense, and it was dead set that when Piastri had his lap time deleted, him going back out, we were just watching, we were like, he's not going to get through. He's not getting it through, and fell victim at Q1, which is a shame. It is a shame. On the Perez side of things, just going back quickly, one half of my Perez prediction came true because I said we were going to get a Perez disaster class and that he would have a terrible qualifying, wouldn't make it out of Q1, and that he would have a terrible race and not finish in the points. Well. Just call me Mystic Meg because he didn't make it out of Q1. One of my friends was like, I don't think he's going to get out Q2. And I was like, oh, I've said Q1 in my predictions. And he was like, that's harsh. Harsh, but true. All right, moving on to Q2, and out was Valtteri Bottas, Lance Stroll, Fernando Alonso, Liam Lawson, and Yuki Tsunoda. Was really worried at the start that Leclerc wouldn't make it out of Q2. He was another one that had his lap time deleted. He just went clean over the corner at turn 2. He just wasn't even trying to stay within track limits. Thankfully, however, he did manage to claw it back and made it through to Q3. The big one, however, was the red flag that was caused literally with seconds to go, and it screwed over the drivers that were out. So Yuki Tsunoda was coming into the stadium section, was carrying just a little bit too much speed into the corner, locked his front left, spun the car, ended up into the barriers. Him and the drivers that were behind him, which are your Lawsons, Alonso's, Strolls and Valtteri Bottas, they were all behind him, all getting ready to start their next flying laps. Obviously, Tsunoda caused a red flag, ending Q2, which ended all of those other drivers couldn't get another lap in. Tsunoda was just about to go and start his flying lap. So it's a shame that none of those drivers actually got to set a time because I can't imagine Lawson would have been out where he was out. I also can't imagine Alonso being out in P13 because he was having a pretty decent time. I reckon Alonso was getting into Q3. And I think Alonso and Lawson fell victim to Yuki Tsunoda. Not great for Tsunoda. ending up in the barriers. I think Martin Brundle said it didn't seem like too bad of a crash. It was just into the barriers, and that he should actually be okay, and the damage to the car shouldn't be that bad. But oh, Tsunoda. And it does technically mean that Tsunoda has outqualified his teammate, which is annoying, because when you look at the head-to-heads now of Lawson v Tsunoda, Tsunoda technically would be ahead of Lawson for this one because of him finishing ahead, even though he's crashed into the barriers and Lawson would have probably been quicker than him. So that annoys me, to be completely honest with you. That's my one gripe about the qualifying and the timings and stuff, is that you can literally crash your car but still finish ahead of people that would have actually been ahead of you. Food for thought. Anyway, Yuki Tsunoda crashed into the barrier, ended the session for everyone behind them. They couldn't get a second time set and unfortunately are all out. I do not believe that Liam Lawson will finish outside the points this weekend. I do reckon he'll manage to claw his way into the points. I also reckon we could see points for Fernando Alonso. I reckon he's going to have an alright weekend, and I think there is some people higher up the field that have had pretty good qualifyings but may not be able to convert that into points in the race. So let's talk about Q3, and the order is P10 Nico Hülkenberg, Alex Albon, Pierre Gasly, Kevin Magnussen and Lewis Hamilton. P5 George Russell, Charles Leclerc, Lando Norris, Max Verstappen and Carlos Sainz. Now, just quickly carrying on from what I was just saying there, I don't imagine Magnussen finishing in the points. I reckon he might just be on the cusp of it, but I can't see him finishing inside the points. So I do reckon that the likes of your Magnussens, maybe your Albons, maybe Hülkenberg, might experience some kind of issues during the race that mean your Lawsons, your Tsunodas, your Alonsos move up into the points. I think that might be the switch. Fantastic work from both Haas drivers getting into Q3. The turnaround for that team this year has been incredible. Like in 2023, they were shocking, and now they are scoring points consistently, making it into Q3 consistently, at least one of the drivers anyway, consistently. Like, they're having a bloody brilliant time. And this little battle that is happening between Haas and RB for the constructors is one of my favourite battles right now. It's so good. Like, just to see these two teams actually being able to fight for points and fight in the constructors is just so good. Listen, don't get me wrong, I don't think either of the two teams are going to move it up into, well, actually, maybe. If Aston Martin aren't really scoring points with both their drivers and Haas and RB are picking up double points. Oh, no, sorry, I thought that said 56 points for Aston Martin. It's not, it's 86. And Haas and RB are on 38 and 36 respectively. So maybe not, but this little battle for 6th and 7th in the constructors is really enjoyable to watch. Fantastic result for both the Haas drivers. Great result for Albon getting into Q3. Mental that he's in Q3 and Colapinto's P16. Great work from Gasly as well. Absolutely smashing it. Fairly expected for Russell and Hamilton, P5, P6. I think that's an alright spot for them to be going into the race. It's a long run down to turn 1. You're going to have a lot of a battle going on between the first 3 drivers. Sainz defending like crazy, Verstappen attacking and defending, and the same with Norris. So there could be some great opportunities for your Leclercs, your Russells, your Hamiltons to make up some decent points. Do I reckon we're getting a safety car today? Yes, I do. I 100% see a safety car coming. So, yeah, all right from them too. And then Leclerc, I'm quite happy with a P4 for Leclerc. Yes, I would love a P1, don't get me wrong. I would love a pole position for Leclerc. But he's been able to do quite good things off P4 recently. Was he P4 in Monza? I mean, he was P4 last week. So, as I said, it's a very long run down to turn 1. Could see something good from old Charles Leclerc. And then Norris. Quite surprised Norris couldn't pull it out of the bag for getting it on pole. But as I said, it's It's a long run down to turn 1 and he could manage to pull something out the bag. Verstappen. I honest to God thought Verstappen was going to be on pole because he was flying out there. Absolutely flying. But Carlos Sainz was faster, and what a beautiful lap from Sainz. Like an absolutely insane lap. Just that final flying lap of Sainz was just purple, purple, purple. Absolutely nailed that. So well done, Sainz. Well done. I reckon Ferrari are going to have a pretty decent weekend. Charles Leclerc had said that after FP2, I think it was, the data from the long runs, from the race runs on them, was feeling pretty good, and he felt that they would have pretty decent race pace today. So I'm hoping for some good work from them, and I think Mexico is going to throw us a bit of a crazy race in terms of, I think it's going to be all over the shop. I think it's going to be absolutely all over the shop. I don't think you can count anyone out. I think the win could be anyone's. I think the win is between Leclerc, Sainz, Verstappen and Norris. It could be any one of those. And God forbid something happens to any of those four and, the DNF. I do have a prediction that Lando will DNF, to be fair. Anything happens to those front four, it's opening a door for Mercedes just to come in and snoop a win. So I think we've got quite an exciting race on our hands, and I'm very looking forward to it. Right, that is everything from us. We will be back after the race later on. Have a lovely Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you then. Love you. Bye.